When I told people I did CrossFit in 2008, no one knew what I was talking about. It was very unrefined at the time, felt like the rebellious way to work out.
Fads come, fads go, but CrossFit 25 years on, why is it still so strong?
I love the methodology. If I have a religion, it's CrossFit. Instead of looking for the next trick and the next way to do it easy and the next magic pill, that's not going to be the answer. The answer is you need to work hard.
People haven't really understood what good programming in CrossFit is, and what is good programming?
I am not an artist, but it almost feels like an art that you're painting this picture. The constantly varied is very different than random, and people think it's random.
What the CrossFit Games season brings to CrossFit and a CrossFit gym like yours.
Everybody can come to the gym and work out hard, but suddenly you add a measurement and you add a judge and you add that this is just somewhat official. It wigs people out. Like, it just makes them so nervous. I don't care the results. What I care about is that you went and did something that made you nervous. And regularly going and facing hard things, I just think it makes you better at life.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the InnerFight podcast. My guest today is Dan Kachtik. He's the visionary behind King William District CrossFit, a gym based over in Texas in America. We're talking all about what it takes to build an incredible CrossFit business that he's built literally from the ground up. Dan became a qualified CrossFit coach in 2008, and it wasn't until 2013 that he was ready to open his gym, which since opening it has absolutely thrived. He's created a community where fitness and camaraderie are at the forefront and really deliver what they have there over in the States. On today's podcast, we explore all different This is episode number 932 of the InnerFight podcast. No matter where you are in the world, as I always say, thanks a lot for tuning in, and let's jump into today's show. Let's rock and roll. Dan, welcome to the show. I want to kick off by asking maybe quite a difficult question, but I think one that's quite fitting, seeing as we're going to discuss a lot about CrossFit. CrossFit's been around now for around 25 years, which makes it probably one of the longest or most consistent, should we say, fitness methodologies / trends to stay around. What in your opinion, why is it still so strong in the current day when there's so much out there, so many other options, fads come, fads go, but CrossFit 25 years on is still super strong?
Well, there's one big reason. So the methodology itself, I know this, the methodology is not new in the sense that, CrossFit is based on general physical preparedness, which is just kind of an all-encompassing kind of fitness. And that concept has been around a long time. And Glassman, when he came around, just kind of, I think, repackaged a lot of different things together into one unit to make CrossFit, to combine the triathlete, the power lifter, and then the sports side, the gymnast, all of these things together. And then by making it measurable, by adding a clock, by adding the clock factor to what we do, and not everything is under a clock, but by adding that element too, you have a training methodology that I think is better than anything else out there for general fitness. For all-encompassing fitness, this will continue to work for anybody and everybody forever, for their whole life. And so in that sense, it's not a fad, it's not a trick. it is based on just hard work. You're going to work hard when you do CrossFit. And I think that has always been the secret or the key to staying fit is working hard. It provides a basic framework to work in. And again, we got kind of combined the three aspects of there's resistance training, weightlifting, whatever you want to call it. There's gymnastics, AKA calisthenics, body weight movements, and then monostructural movements, running, rowing, biking, swimming, all those kind of things. And the basis of CrossFit is combining different elements of each of those three into workouts and then doing them very hard. And that will make you more fit forever while also not being boring, while also not having the overuse injuries you see from very redundant methods, and also not, you just don't get the complacency, you don't get the plateaus, and you're always learning. And it makes you, if I'm at the gym and I'm doing the leg press machine and the curl machine, I am getting stronger on those muscles. Those muscles I'm getting stronger. If I'm doing the shoulder press, I'm getting stronger. But when we teach people to do a snatch or a push jerk or these things, we are also making you more athletic. We are making you an athlete. And I that's how I refer to all my members as athletes, because whether you play sports or not, you are involved in the athletic endeavor of life. And that involves chasing a grocery cart across a parking lot. That involves chasing your kids or jumping over a curve. These kind of things take basic athleticism, and the way we work out gives you that basic athleticism while also giving you strength, flexibility, endurance, and all the other things.
That's a very good sort of way to wrap it up as well at the end there. Like, the transfer into life is incredible, which I think I've thought about that question a lot. And I think like a lot of fitness endeavors are very singular focused on what happens within the gym or within that time that you're in the gym. Whereas what we speak about a lot in CrossFit is the carryover into various areas of life, which is obviously why we're doing it. We work out so that we can be better in life, right?
Well, I think for two reasons. We work out to be healthier and better in life. We also work out to look good. I think people want to look good as well. And so, but the nice thing is, I think when you train for aesthetics, for the looks, the health and fitness sides don't necessarily go along with that. They may, but they don't have to go along with that. As we know, bodybuilders can be very unhealthy. Not all of them. Some of them are very healthy, but that does not go hand in hand. But what does go hand in hand is when you train to make your body as fit as it can be. And that means I'm strong, but I also have a good metabolic conditioning. I have good range of motion in all of my joints, so I can go fast and I can go long and I can be explosive. When you make your body fulfill its potential in all of those attributes, the beautiful ancillary benefit is you also look really good. You look the best your body's going to look, because when we say being in shape is not just the absence of fat. Shape is the presence of muscle and the presence of like a shapely body. And that's what CrossFit will give you. It's not a bulky body, not something that is not practical in that sense. It's an athletic body, and athleticism on all of us looks really good. So you get both. You get the health and fitness, and you get the good looks to go along with it.
In 2008, Dan, you went along to CrossFit Level 1 certification. I guess that was when you made a decision that this is what you wanted to do for almost for life. Talk us through a little bit your journey to get to that point in 2008 where you're like, right, I'm going to go and become a certified CrossFit coach.
I had always liked fitness. I'd always liked working out. So I grew up being kind of a gym rat, and I knew I wanted to be a trainer. And so I went to college to study sports medicine. And then I was working in that field, and I was working at a big global gym in Chicago. And while I really enjoyed what I did with my individual clients. I loved training them, and I was making a difference, and I really enjoyed what I was doing. I was a little disillusioned with the corporate side of it. That is inevitable. It's not evil, but it's almost just a part of a big business. And there was a lot of pressure on me to sell stuff to people that I didn't think they needed and was not going to help with their fitness journey, but I needed to push to sell that. And it is what it is. But then I found CrossFit. And so I started following the main site, CrossFit.com, and I thought I was fit. I was a big meathead. I could bench a lot. I could do those kind of things. But I realized I was not as fit as I thought I was because these workouts were kicking my ass. And I like that. I like that suddenly, man, I've trained in the way I know and I've been taught, and I've read Muscle and Fitness, and I grew up in that kind of bodybuilding world. And then I was like, holy cow, I've kind of been doing it wrong. And I like being strong. I want to be strong. I want everybody to be strong, but that's just one aspect of being fit. And so for myself, I drank the Kool-Aid of I love this method of working out, and I love what it's doing for me physically, mentally, all that. I love that I'm taking on something hard every day and that it's a challenge and coming back repeatedly and doing that. I liked the variety. And so I very much liked the personal method. And then, yes, when I went and got certified, at that time, even here in the States, outside of California, no one really knew what CrossFit was. When I told people I did CrossFit in 2008, no one knew what I was talking about. But it was me and a college buddy, another trainer, went out there and got certified. And I immediately knew this is what I've been looking for. It was very authentic. It was very unrefined at the time, very kind of, it felt like the rebellious way to work out. But I like the people, and they seem very passionate on, yes, our mission is we are trying to show people how to be fit for life and to get more fit. And part of that is, instead of looking for the next trick and the next way to do it easy and the next magic pill, that's not going to be the answer. The answer is you need to work hard. The answer is that, yes, I have to work hard, and I need to work hard in an intelligent way, in a way that will get me results, but there's no way around that. And I love that message. I love the message they had. I love the authenticity of it. And then I knew here is a way I can make a living in this industry doing something I love and have it be genuine and provide a service, make an honest living for doing it. And so at that point, I knew I will eventually open a CrossFit gym. Now, that was 2008. I was in Illinois. I knew I wanted to get back to Texas, because that's where I'm from, to open up a CrossFit gym. So that didn't happen. I moved down here back to Texas in 2011, and then with my wife, opened up King William District CrossFit in 2013. So from 2008 to 2013, it took me that plan to get to that point where I could do it, but I knew that was eventually what I was going to do. And so, opened up in 2013, and, we've been doing it ever since.
I have to ask you, I'm always interested in how people name their affiliates. And like you said there, the name of your affiliate is King William District CrossFit. Where does that come from?
And even back then, it's somewhat hard to come up with names, because if there's a name, if an affiliate name has been taken anywhere in the world, you cannot use it. So I had several ideas for names that all got shot down because they'd all been taken, but it worked out pretty good. The area of San Antonio we're in is a very old neighborhood on the south side of downtown San Antonio, just south of the Alamo. And it's called the King William District. And it's, I think, the oldest or one of the oldest neighborhoods in town. And that's where we were located. So it was kind of a cool name, King William District. So we started King William District CrossFit, and that's still where we are.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Talk us through setting out. I mean, when you set out and when you set up your gym in 2013, I guess we're at an interesting time for CrossFit, because we're sort of 10 plus years into it. People had seen that they can make a business from it. Some people had transformed their garages and started to run a business from the garage. Other people had gone a little bit more kind of like all in, rented commercial facilities. But there was, I believe it was a period where there was a lot of CrossFit gyms opening. So a lot of competition in the marketplace. So I wonder how it was for you over there, opening a gym in a marketplace where, I mean, well, globally, there was a lot of affiliates opening at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. As I was coming in, and so in like it was 2012, I was trying to get affiliated, and I had the O1. I was trying to find a space, and I was watching by the week new CrossFit gyms open all over San Antonio. When I moved here in 2011, there were like 7 affiliates in San Antonio.
Right.
I think it was 7, and then even by the time I opened up, less than 2 years later, there were close to 40. And
Wow.
after I opened up in 2013, by 2016, there were over 100. Now,
Wow.
I will say here in the States, there's definitely been a shrinking of that. And I am fine with that, because even I think Glassman's thought process behind it was he wasn't afraid of competition. I'm not afraid of competition. Be good at
Mm.
what you're going to do, and you're going to rise to the top. And so for a while there, we did kind of cannibalize each other. And I don't mean that in a bad sense. There's more people in San Antonio than all of us could ever make fit. So it's not like we're doing a zero-sum game. There's an infinite number of people. But at the same time, as people started to become more discerning and realizing not all of us did it the same way, that as a CrossFit affiliate, you have a complete freedom to do what you want. Like there's no control over how you're teaching. There's no control over what you're doing. There's slightly more rules now, but it's still very much you own an affiliate and you do what you want. And so for a while, the customer didn't understand that I might be doing slightly differently than the CrossFit down the road.
Mm.
But as they became more discerning, they did start to see that. And frankly, I compare CrossFit to a chainsaw. It is a really powerful tool. You need to know how to use it before you go crazy with it, or that's where CrossFit would get the reputation for hurting people. And actually, I think done right, it's about the safest method to work out. You avoid
Mm.
overuse injuries, that kind of stuff. But, if you don't know how to deadlift and some idiot coach has you deadlifting really heavy and you've been in CrossFit for 2 weeks, you could get injured. And
Mm.
same with the snatch. If you don't know how to snatch and suddenly I'm telling you to go faster with it, there's a chance you could get injured. That does not make those movements dangerous or inherently unsafe. It means they need to be treated with respect and learned. And so as we were moving forward as a gym with good coaching, people were realizing some gyms do this better than others. I get better coaching at this gym. I have a better experience at this gym. This owner really cares about what's going on. And so while I think there's several parts to making a good CrossFit gym. There is,
Mm.
you need good programming, you need good coaching, you need a good community, and then you need a good facility. I consider the facility the least important. A good facility is nice, but you can get by with very little and be a good CrossFit gym. It
Mm.
makes it easier if you have a bunch of bells and whistles, but you don't need it. The important factor for longevity as a gym is that you have really good coaching and good programming, and those two go hand in hand, and that's what's going to make you survive and thrive. And then I think the nice thing that keeps people in with you too is a very genuine, honest community. We all are going to have a little bit different personalities because we're all different personality people, but people can tell very quickly if their owner and the coaches genuinely care about their health, care about their results, are winning with them, or if they're there just to make a dime off of. And people are not dumb. So you can hide that for a little while, but people are going to figure out your intentions eventually. And if either you're getting results or you're not. So over time, either it shows or it doesn't. And so what has been nice is that, the gyms that weren't doing it well weren't, their whole heart wasn't in this. They went away after a while. They just kind of disappeared.
Mm.
And so now even in San Antonio, we've gone from over 100 gyms to, I don't know, I think there's like somewhere between 30 and 40. So it's a big town. There's a bunch, but it could support, frankly, a lot more.
Mm.
But the ones that are here most of them have survived because they're doing it right. They're doing it well.
You mentioned one of the key elements of success is programming. And you also mentioned the CrossFit, it's not a standard franchise model that when the standards, especially like you said, back in the day, it was literally do your level 1, apply to be an affiliate, you can open tomorrow. No one was coming in and checking what workouts you were giving people, how you were coaching them, what was going on. It was a little bit the Wild West, to be honest.
Yes.
What's your thoughts sort of on that? Because you've identified that programming is the key, and good programming gets good results for your members, makes happy members. Happy members makes a strong community. You said it there, and it's kind of this beautiful chain. And it doesn't really matter if you're working out in a backyard or in a state-of-the-art gym. If you've got good programming, good community, like you said, the thing goes up. But
Yeah.
people haven't really understood what good programming in CrossFit is, and like what is good programming in CrossFit? How does it come around? I'm interested to get some of your thoughts around that.
Yeah, that's something I could talk your ear off about. And
Good.
it's not a simple, I mean, it's somewhat simple, but then the devil is really in the details with the programming, especially for longevity and over time. So as I said at the beginning, CrossFit is about going hard, but it's not just having more balls than brains. That's not what this is about. It's you've got to have the brains too. And the constantly varied is very different than random. And people think it's random. It is not at all random. It is definitely a good program gym is pre-planned, and there is a goal and there is a point you're getting to. And you're training in certain specific ways to achieve those goals. And so there needs to be variety. You need to be hitting kind of the three silos of weightlifting or, using external resistance. You need to be hitting the silo of gymnastics or calisthenics, body weight movements. And then you need to be hitting that silo of monostructural. So running, rowing, swimming, that kind of cyclical whole body working as a unit cardio stuff as we think about it. You need to hit regulating those categories, but because of the variety of moves we do, it's not all just the Metcons where you turn the clock on, light your hair on fire and go. There's a time and place to go hard and do that. But I also there's lots of interval days. There's lots of EMOM days, every minute on the minute, where you're working on skill or working on strength. So the way I program at my gym, Monday is our most dedicated strength days. And we do how I do it, which is a little different than a lot of gyms. We do a Metcon first. So the metabolic conditioning part, we do a short Metcon under 10 minutes, usually around the 7-minute time frame. And it has to complement what we're working on. And then I'll do your basic kind of push-pull combo, nothing new. I use a lot of Charles Poliquin's methods with advanced German volume training and that kind of stuff. But I will do a basic strength cycle. And I tend to like to combine now, as I've evolved with this, a strength movement like a deadlift or something like that within either a press, or maybe we're working on more of a gymnastic body weight movement. We're combining that with dips or ring dips or handstand push-ups, some variety of a pressing movement, but it's body weight. And I'll do that combo for 3 weeks. And this has evolved too for me, where I used to do 6-week cycles, but for the general public, I don't think I need to do that long, and I think they get bored and frankly tend to get a little drained on those specific movements. So I kept shortening to where now I mostly do 3-week cycles, and I do that year round on Mondays. And then to allow people to be consistent, even if they're sore, Tuesdays and Thursdays, you're getting your longer workouts, for us longer, over 20 minutes, but you're more body weight movements, running, push-ups, sit-ups, squats, pull-ups, and then we'll combine that with running, rowing, biking, more metabolic conditioning. And then on Wednesdays and Fridays, I get more of what you think of with CrossFit, where we're moving a barbell, we're doing toes to bar, we're doing those kind of things. And then I fill in the weekend. Sundays, we're open 7 days a week. Sundays are another kind of general calisthenic day, ending the week on that to start the next week. And Saturdays might be a partner workout, might be another EMOM to work on some training skills. It kind of depends on where we're at in the year. So there's definitely an organization to it as I'm going forward. And then you fill in the key with this. I consider it, I am not an artist, but it almost feels like an art that you're painting this picture and filling in the spots of, all right, how much have we squatted this week? How much have we gone overhead this week? How much have we done vertical pulling? How much have we done horizontal pulling? And it's those kind of details that I have a whole series of checklists and stuff I'm going through, looking at the past and looking at what's going forward to make sure you're hitting all these basic kind of movement patterns in the body and hitting them in a heavy way and hitting them in a way that requires stamina and hitting them in a way that requires endurance, and do that variety. So, Monday we might be doing back squats, and then Friday we're doing overhead squats, and Tuesday we're doing pull-ups, and Saturday we're doing deadlifts. So we're hitting these similar muscle groups in different ways. And so that's a very long-winded answer, but you need to be thinking through it at that level. And a lot of CrossFit owners back in the day were sitting down Sunday night and throwing some workouts out there, and that's not going to be sustainable. Like, you're going to end up missing stuff. You're going to end up being really redundant. You're just going to have huge gaps and huge overuse systems if you do it that way. And that's why I think a lot of gyms are buying programming. And I will say I'm all for buying programming, because I know at least it is thought through and it's organized and they have a plan they're going for. But even if I was programming for the masses, I would have to make it a little more generic, because I don't know your people. I also don't know the equipment you have at your gym. How much space do you have for wall balls? What's your running route look like? Do you have a lot of rings, or do you not have any rings? Do you have a lot of squat racks or no squat racks? And so it ends up having to be generalized, and then that's incumbent upon the owner to probably tailor it to their space, or whoever's doing the programming. What I like about doing this, I know my people, I know my space, and so I can program with this gym and these people in mind. And I do the programming myself. All my coaches do it. To me, if it's not good enough for the best athlete in the gym, it's not good enough for grandma either. It should be able to make all of us more fit. And within the programming, there needs to be enough variety that it can meet everybody where they're at. And I think that is something you can do if you put enough thought into it. So that is a very long-winded answer.
No, it's interesting. It's great to hear, because I think, obviously, Dan, with your background in you studied sports medicine, you've been, you were qualified as a CrossFit coach in 2008. It took you 5 years to actually open your gym. You put a lot of thought, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and that's why you're able to give such a great answer. And I think that's one of the things that creates good CrossFit gyms and not so good CrossFit gyms, or great gyms and the ones that have now closed, because you're spending a lot of time. I mean, at my gym, we spend hours on programming, and we always want to see where's the programming going. We want to have a macro view of it, and then it's like, okay, what do we want to achieve in the next 3 months? And that's quite broad level. It doesn't, we don't need the details, but we want to focus on certain movements. And that's also from what we see in the class. So if we're seeing that people are having issues with, even with something, and I remember doing it a few years ago, we just saw, like, when we'd put wall balls in workouts, we just weren't seeing the quality of wall balls, and therefore we're not getting good intensity of wall balls. So we're like, okay, in this next phase, we're just going to fix that problem. So we're kind of looking at it on more phases, and then on a daily basis, it's like, okay, what was the feedback? I mean, we teach seven classes a day, 7 of our mainline classes a day. It's like, okay, how did the guys at 5:30 get on? How did the guys at 5 p.m. get on? And were they coming in sore? Do we need to change the week? But like you say, if you're sort of just sat on a Sunday night and you're like, what should we do this week? Then you're not going to achieve that. Or if you're just downloading a program, and you said it, mate, like, there's a lot of people that use a lot of great gyms that have produced great athletes. They're using a bought program, but not tailoring it to their members. And I mean, I've seen it a lot. Like, I watched, I won't mention the gyms or the program, but I watched this program for like 3 weeks at one stage. And I just noted how many times these guys were pulling from the floor. And then I noted the mood of the audience. And you could see, as these 3 weeks went on, their posterior chain, their central nervous system, was getting so destroyed that they were turning up to training literally completely fucked, because they'd just been hammered for 2 to 3 weeks. And I was like, and then what happens is we do the opposite of what you and I are all in on, which is making people better. We're actually making people tired. They stop going to the gym. They take a week off, and we're in trouble again.
So that's so good job. Yeah, you think through the same stuff. Like I love hearing that because that's exactly it. Because you're watching your members, because I'm watching mine. That's exactly what I watch. Like, yeah, we need to get better. I realized going into this year, I didn't think we were pretty good at push jerk, but as a group, we need to get better at push press. And plus, it's a little bit more of a strength move. So we did a push press cycle for our Wednesday streak cycles. And then I've also been throwing them more into EMOMs where you get a more organized chance to work on them. That's not as frenetic as in the Metcon is when you're going fast. And man, one, I've seen a lot of the girls push-ups get better, like as they're building that strength. But two, I'm now watching push press. I'm like, all right, we know what we're doing. We know how to do a good push press. And I'm seeing better hip drive and all that kind of stuff. And right, if it was just some generic program, there's no way to alter to that because no one's seeing that. And to your point, no matter what you do with programming, you're right. We'll go through a couple weeks and I'm like, man, everybody's worn out. They're just worn out right now. So I'm just going to dial down that intensity or stuff like that. Or I will, when you do, like if we're doing a strength cycle and it's clean and jerks or it's squat cleans or it's heavy deadlifts or heavy back squats, those things wear people out over time. They just are very draining adrenally and mentally. And so there's been times when that's been our strength cycle. And I can tell, man, people just need a break from this. Like they're kind of worn out. So I'll skip the third week of that strength cycle. I'll throw something else in and I have the freedom to throw it in later. No one's telling me what to do. I can throw it in when I feel like we're better prepared for it. But yeah, we're going to do something else on this next Monday because I can see that, you know what, beating us down further into the ground is not making people more fit right now. But yeah, you have to be, like you said, consciously cognizant of that and saying, like, I'm always asking my coaches, what can the group get better at? What are you seeing? Like, what's going on? And I'm fortunate that I have guys that care about it. Most of my coaches have been with me for years. And so I trust their judgment and they can say like, yeah, this is what we're seeing going on with this, or yeah, everybody's back's hurting right now. Well, yeah, exactly. Maybe we need to stop pulling off the floor for a week or just do a little bit less of it, that kind of thing. So I'm glad to hear you say that, but that to me is, yeah, the beauty of doing your own programming and the difference between just throwing stuff at the wall because we're constantly buried. Like, yeah, that's a cop out for being lazy, in my opinion.
In 2011, we saw the first what's called and what people know the CrossFit Open, which made one of the elements that you identified as making CrossFit successful is throwing the clock at it and challenging people to go for time and make it a competition. 2011 saw the start of the Worldwide Open. We've now gone every year since then, even through COVID. I know you've been heavily involved in the Open. You like to do it every year. So congratulations to you, Dan. I think it's awesome. Talk to us a little bit about the impact on CrossFit and maybe as a gym owner of the Open, whatever the system is now. It used to be regionals, but now we go quarters, semis, and also ultimately the games. I'm interested to get your take, especially because you'll have seen it over the sort of the last 13 or so years, how maybe it's changed and what the CrossFit Games season brings to CrossFit and a CrossFit gym like yours.
So yeah, I am. So I missed 2011, or I think that was it. But I've done it I missed the first year of the Open, but I've done it every year since. And that's battled through injuries. You know, I've had surgeries along the way, so there's been a lot of ups and downs. Some years better than others. But I like the idea of what I like the concept of there is just a cold hard. And again, basically, I think the Open is its intent, its goal. You're basically testing metabolic conditioning. Yep. You're using some fairly accessible movements, and you're testing, you know, a base level of strength, but then mainly it's your metabolic conditioning that you're testing there. It's not going to be too skilled or too heavy, and I think for the masses, that's kind of appropriate. That's a good level to be at. But what I like about it is that it is like a thermometer. Like, how is your engine right now? How have you been doing in the last year of working out? And once you've done the Open several times, to me, it's super motivating to see how I do better or even how I compare myself to old me. And then I really like beating people in my weight class. It makes getting old, super. Like I just graduated into the 50. I'll be the young guy in the 50 group next year, and I'm looking forward to beating their old asses. So, like, I love the fact that there is that category of the age brackets because even when I got into CrossFit, I was already 32. So I was
Right.
already older. And then even when we started doing the open and stuff, I was already like 36. So I was already, I was not a young buck at that time, and I'm competing against the 20-year-olds, and so be it. I'm not one to make excuses. That's what you do.
Yeah.
But then it did get fun because they started with age brackets right as I was turning 40, and so then I got to get into that, and it's funny how many excuses people come up with not to do it, and how it wigs out so badly. And I think it's interesting because as adults, like everybody can come to the gym and work out hard, but suddenly you add a measurement and you add a judge and you add that this is just somewhat official. It's not a big deal. It's, there's thousands of people doing it, but you're doing your own gym, but somewhat official. It wigs people out. Like it just makes them so nervous. They come up with so many reasons why they can't handle it. And that's why I like people doing it. And we do have really good participation at our gym because I do press it because I think it is this adult kind of like, I don't care if you suck at it, just go do it. Like, I don't care what the results are. I want you to go out there and do something that's uncomfortable because I think it's really good to do things that make you uncomfortable. I don't care the results. What I care about is that you went and did something that made you nervous. Because frankly, as adults, we don't get the opportunity to go out and do something like this that makes us really nervous that's not dumb. Barring doing some stupid endeavor, this is a physical activity. It's safe, but because it's being measured and because it's being judged, it's making you really nervous. Nothing bad's going to happen, but it's a great chance for you to face that where the stakes are very low. But I think regularly, that's what I love about CrossFit in general, regularly going and doing hard things and regularly going and facing hard things gives you more fortitude, gives you more resolve, makes you better at doing that. It's just like when you practice the clean and jerk, you get better at the clean and jerk. When you practice going and doing things that make you uncomfortable, you get better at facing and doing things that make you uncomfortable. So I just think it makes you better at life because life is going to force you to do that. So I view the open as a great chance to practice in a somewhat trivial way because this is just in your gym, you're doing workouts that are in the open. But it wigs you out. Let's admit it. Like it wigs people out. And so going and facing that, even if the results are not what you want, which they're usually not, let's be honest, we're usually all disappointed because we're not going to the game. And at some point, I didn't do as well as that guy, or I wish I'd done better in my age bracket, whatever. It's humbling. But at the same time, I don't know anybody that did it that wasn't satisfied with the fact that they did it once they were done. It may have been very emotional along the way, but when they get to the end, they're very satisfied with it. And so now we've done it long enough at my gym. And since I always do it, my coaches always do it, we have enough members that have always done it. They can all testify to this. Just go do it. Yeah, it's going to suck. You're going to be nervous that Friday, Thursday night. You're like, can't go to sleep because you're nervous about what's going to happen. But you go out there and do it. You face something that was hard, and that feels really good to face something that's hard. So I love the concept of it. I hope it always continues. Who knows if it will or not. But I think it was a really cool idea from a community standpoint, and it gives me a powerful tool. I think different gyms do it differently, and some gyms don't care if you do the open, and that's fine, whatever. For us, it gives me a very powerful tool, I think, to teach a lot of life lessons to our members, and I really like that about it.
Do you think if the open didn't feed into those other stages, quarterfinals, semifinals, and the games, it would have the same buzz about it?
That's a good question. And I've thought about that because I could see a world where the two do become separate. And right now, I would be a little disappointed in that because I think it is cool to know we're doing the same workouts as the people you're going to see on TV later. I think there is a coolness in that. Not that we're doing the games workouts, but they're doing the open, we're doing the open, we're all going through that process. I think that's cool and valuable, but I still think if the open was just a worldwide CrossFit test and we're just going to do this together as a group to see how we stack up, I still think there would be merit to that. It would be different, but I don't think I still think it would. I think at my gym, I would still get a lot of participation. I don't know
Yeah.
like nationwide, but I think at my gym, because of how I frame it and how I use it, I think we would still get a lot of participation because a lot of my guys too, I like watching the games. I'm more into that. Some of my athletes are, some of them don't care less. They're professionals. They're busy adults. This is where they come to get the workout that makes them more fit and great. They're on about their life. And so they like doing the open, and they'll do a little leaderboarding where they want to see how they stack up in their age group, and that's fun. But beyond that, they don't. If I named 6 athletes, they wouldn't know any of them, so it wouldn't be a big deal to them. To some of the athletes, it would. So that's why I say there's a contingent. So it would change things, but I don't think it would ruin it. But that's an interesting question because I've thought about that too.
Do you think as a gym owner that the CrossFit Games brings you positives, brings you more business?
I love the methodology. I am a card carrying. If I have a religion, it's CrossFit. Like I love the CrossFit methodology and I love the lifestyle. I think over time, if I can be frank, HQ, CrossFit Inc., whatever you want to call it, has made me fight a lot of battles that weren't my battle to fight per se, but because I'm representing the name CrossFit, I end up having to fight some battles for decisions or things they've done. And man, I'm not in their job. I think it's a hard job. So I'm sure I wouldn't do it perfectly either. So I try to not to be too judgmental. But, some box owners, I feel like there's been pressure on HQ that we need more help and we need you to do this, that, and the other. I'm the opposite. Just stay out of the way, man. Like just don't do anything to make us look dumb and like represent the name well. So the name has a good reputation and then I can sink or swim on my own. And that's what I liked about CrossFit when I opened my gym. That was the mentality of all the owners. Like it was a very independent, like this isn't a franchise. Let me take this methodology and go do with it what I will. And if I'm good, I'll make it something good. And if I suck, then I won't. And I found that very attractive. That's what I loved about it. And so I don't need the hand holding. I don't need the systems. Like, yeah, it's hard to run a business. And if you want to be a business owner, you're going to have to figure it out. At some point, there's no job description. Figure out what needs to get done. And so I'm more on the camp of what I would want from CrossFit Inc. is I would like good media in the sense I would like more media on them representing what the gyms are doing because I think there's a lot of gyms making a big difference in people's lives and I think that should be celebrated.
Yeah.
And so I would like them to advertise and push that information out. And then, yeah, I think the training, I'm a CrossFit level 3 coach. I think the training is very solid through the education side. I really like. I've done a lot of education other ways. I'd gotten trained through Charles Poliquin. I'd done at NASM and ACSM. I'd done all these different things when I go to school. So I have comparisons and I really like their training. I think it's very solid, the methodology and the philosophy and how they teach it. I think by the time you're a level 2 or even a level 3 coach, I think you're a lot better than most trainers out there if you paid attention and learned the material. So I think that's all good. But unfortunately, I think they've gotten involved in stuff and been involved in messes that was making me have to answer questions. I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't know. Like, we're just here at our gym doing our thing. So that's a little long-winded to say I love the brand and I even like a lot of the leadership, but over time, I would say at best, it's been a wash because at times they've done good stuff, but at other times I'm like, now I've got to fight another battle for something I had nothing to do with. So it's been a mixed bag.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's interesting what you said. You said something there about just don't do anything stupid that jeopardizes my business. And I mean, over the last, I think they were actually quite good at not doing that until sort of COVID times until around 2020. And then over the last 4 years, we've seen a lot of things that, like you say, it's whether it's racial, gender, political, like there's been a number of different things. And, you obviously get people within the community that are like going, hang on a minute, I'm supporting a company whose leadership is talking in this way, and then it's like, you have to have those conversations with people. And I'm like, all I do when you come to my gym, I can promise you one thing, I try and make you a better human being, and I think that's how I have always seen sport is that there's a lot of shit going on in the world, but when we do sport, We forget about it all for 1 hour and we do sport. And I know that, I mean, we always say this, and we've said this since the start. We come in that 1 hour, we'll give you our best energy, we'll give you our best coaching, that you leave a little bit of a better human being. And that's what we're trying to do. We'll never force any sort of political agenda, any religious agenda. Like, it's not that. You've got 23 hours in the day to sort that out. This 1 hour for sport has no gender inequality, no rank, nothing. Everyone's the same. Go and do your deadlifts, go and do your air squats, and we're going to have a great time and put on some gangster rap. That's how I see it.
Exactly. And that's so well put, dude, because that's just it. I look at Rogue. Now, Rogue is an equipment company, but they have primarily, as far as I can see, stayed in their lane. We make equipment, we train people to do this stuff, and we just stay over here in this area. And same with me. Like, you have your political and philosophical and religious opinions, and I have mine. That has nothing to do with the fact that we're all in the gym sweating our ass off and working hard right now. And so, there was no reason to go into those. I don't see any reason as a fitness company to go into those markets, because all you're doing invariably is alienating somebody. Yeah. And there's no benefit to doing that. This is a way to work out and stay fit. It has nothing to do with what I think politically or what I think religiously. And that's what I always loved about the gym. Is I always said this: we have so many different thoughts, so many different ways of life, it's a melting pot. But we have this in common, and we end up becoming friends, really good friends, over this one thing, even if we think radically different about other stuff. And that's the beauty of it, is that it ends up being a binding thing from the workout side. Is man, I like these people, and if I met them in another setting, I might not like them or ever be friends with them. But because I did it in this setting, then I'm willing to be more open-minded on that other stuff. Yeah. And so, agreed. I wish they just stayed out of a lot of stuff. Glassman, those opinionated guys, that's made them who they are. So I get it, like opinionated guys, but just in my gym, right? I don't talk politics. I don't talk religion. Yeah. I'm not hiding anything. That has nothing to do with what we're doing today. Right? You're either blowing up in your squat or you're not. So that's been just unnecessary. Like you're starting stuff that was totally not needed.
So 50 years old, Dan, you've been in this game for a fair amount of time. Where do you see it? Do you stay in the game? Can you continue to coach people, have fun, enjoy it, inspire, satisfy until 60, 70, 80? Where's your head at for the future with yourself and also with the CrossFit brand?
Man, I hope so. So, yeah, I will say, and you wonder about this, but yeah, I teach 20 classes a week. I'm different than a lot of owners. I still train a lot. Wow. I have personal training clients too. I taught 4 classes a day and trained 4 different people individually. Again, I came into this already liking this field. So I'm blessed that way, as I came into CrossFit knowing I liked being in the gym and helping people get more fit. Yeah. And because of the program, even because of the programming side, because of the minutia of that, and the fact that while I'm better than I was, I don't think I've arrived. My zeal for it, my enthusiasm is stronger now than it ever has been. Like, I love what I do. I get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym. If anybody else told me to work this hard, I'd tell them to fuck off, because I'm telling myself to work this hard. I love it. And so, yeah, I have every intention of doing this till the wheels come off. So I don't see why, if CrossFit is working like it works now, I'm very frankly pleased with how fit I am at 50. I'd like to see what I can do at 60. And what I love about CrossFit is you see those old bastards out there that could still kick my ass, and they're 60 years old. And I'm like, man, I don't have any excuses. I got to keep going. Yeah. And so I love that, because it takes away the I'm getting old excuse, and I can tell our members that don't tell me you're getting old. I don't want to hear it, because I can show you more than you that are awesome. And so it gets harder. We both know it gets harder, but you can still do it. So yes, I still plan on doing this as long as I can. With CrossFit, I'm established, and I feel very loyal to the training methodology I use is CrossFit. So to take that name off would almost be disingenuous, I feel like, because that's what we do. Now, that's a broad umbrella, but I am under that umbrella. And So I don't have any, I would like to be able to use the name because I feel like that's what I do. If CrossFit as a brand went away, I don't think I would lose one member. I don't think it would really affect my business. At this point, we're established enough, well-known enough. I'm fortunate enough, the reputation that if suddenly it was Dan's Fitness, I don't think that would alter much on that side. So it would be unfortunate, but it wouldn't be frankly that big a deal. And as we said, as we've gone through COVID and other stuff, I've had to consider, that possibility.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of it. I would like it to still be CrossFit in 10 years, but if it's mixed modal training or whatever we call it, great. I'm still going to be doing the same thing. So no big deal. But yeah, if I will do this till I die if I have a choice. And it's a great life. My wife trains at the gym. Even though I work a lot, my daughter's in the gym a lot. There's no other job I could have where I could work this much and still be as much involved with my family as I am. And all my friends, all my friends, everybody I know is at the gym. And so it's the people I hang out with, it's my social structure, and it's provided me with a really cool way to make a living that I feel good about, feel like I'm making a difference, and I have fun doing it. So yeah, I'm more hard charging now than I was when I started.
Dan, you're an absolute legend, mate. You've really given us some awesome thoughts, some good value, and a lot of good honesty. So I really appreciate it.
What was the name of your gym? I want to look that up on Instagram so I can follow you.
InnerFight, same as the podcast, INNERFIGHT.
And I mean, what, if I can just ask, why did you start doing this? You don't mind my asking.
It's simple. That's a very, very good question. And it's got a very simple answer. I'm insanely curious about how humans behave on a big level. And that drives down into two different areas, the physical side and also the mental side. And I've worked on both since a long time. I played rugby for a living, and then as soon as I sort of stopped playing that, I started helping people, coaching people, and it's very similar to you, Dan. You can see you start to make an impact on people's lives, and people are getting better, and that's very inspiring, because then your curiosity is fed. It's like, I wonder if I can take this 140 kilo guy and make him a little bit lighter, but also make him a better father, make him better at business, and make him, a better husband. And if you can do that, and we've done that successfully, and then you can do it with one. Okay, that's something quite special. Why can't we do it on a little bit of a bigger scale? And then, as you've probably seen, you get to a scale where you're like, that's enough. I don't actually want to be any bigger, because then I wouldn't be able to do it in the way which is quite counterintuitive to the way the world works right now. Because it's like, if you have one really successful McDonald's franchise, open a second one. And it's like, well, no, not really, because that wouldn't, bigger doesn't always bring more happiness. And I think in fitness as well, a lot of it is like you said, like, we like to work with people, we like to coach people, and we're a little bit like, the scalability of someone as an individual and as a coach is a little bit hamstrung, because there's only one of you and there's only one of me. But that's unique, and it's a superpower at the same time. So yeah, that's a quick rundown of how we got into it. And actually our vision is to make people better at life. That's the InnerFight vision, and
that's it. That's exactly it. Like, make better human beings. I will say, I've done a few different podcasts. This was by far and away the best. I really, you put thought into your questions, and I wish you were closer. I think we'd be friends. And I like having like-minded people I like finding other people that understand the life we live. And there's not a lot of us around that have this much zeal for it like that. And I started my own. I do a YouTube channel mainly just for my members. I call it the Devil's Details, but I go over a little more in detail, like how I program my members. They get into it, and they became more curious. So I just do a weekly episode, 10 minutes long, where I talk about different aspects of programming or different aspects in the gym. And I enjoy this medium. And so, like, watching you do this, I've I've wondered if there's other things, because you're right. I've had the opportunity to open other gyms, and I did manage a couple other gyms, and I quickly realized that's not the life I want. Like you said, I want one really successful gym, and that's as big as I want to get it. Now, there's ways you can, from a business side, you can grow that, but I like that I know everybody's name, that they know me, I know them, they all have my phone number. So this is like the sweet spot to be at right where we're at right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and it's a lot. And that's why I was quite interested in your answer to the question of sort of where does it go? A lot of people are in a rush to get somewhere, whereas you're enjoying being where you're at because you figured out what you want, and your life at the moment is actually delivering what you want. So there's actually no rush to go anywhere. This can continue for 5 years or for 25 years. It's all good.
I don't see the need to expand and franchise. Like, what I've got can work, and I can still do this better, but have the quality of life you have along the way is I don't want anything more. I just want more of this.
Dan, you're a champion, mate. I won't take any more of your time. Really appreciate it. And just keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing. Thank you.
Have fun. Take it easy.
Thanks a lot. Cheers, Dan.